UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organisation, is charged with providing educational outreach on the Holocaust. In Aotearoa, New Zealand, it has been since 2009 the very supportive major co-sponsor of the annual Holocaust Remembrance Day, not only here in the capital, but also in Auckland, Hamilton, Christchurch, and now for the first time in Nelson. We are very grateful for this ongoing support. And I now invite Vicki Soanes, the Secretary General of the New Zealand National Commission for UNESCO, to speak to us.
Ena mana, ena reo, e roi rangatira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Firstly, I just wanted to say thank you to the Holocaust Centre of New Zealand for inviting me to speak today. It is an honour to be part of today's commemorations. As Secretary General for the New Zealand National Commission for UNESCO, I've attended these commemorations for over a decade, and the Commission has a long history of supporting Holocaust Day. It is a fitting relationship, as our organisations are based on the same foundations and our kaupapa align. UNESCO was established as a specialised agency of the UN after World War II to ensure that such wars didn't happen again, particularly the persecution of peoples, such as occurred with the Holocaust. At the heart of UNESCO is the belief that political and economic arrangements will not produce lasting peace, and the only certainty for world security is intellectual and moral solidarity. Every year, UNESCO reconfirms its unwavering commitment to counter anti-Semitism, racism, and other forms of intolerance that may lead to group-targeted violence. Information sharing is central to all of this, and today, as we battle not only a pandemic, but also a barrage of disinformation, this has become even more important. Since its inception 75 years ago, UNESCO has worked hard to counteract disinformation. Unfortunately, it's never an easy job, even more so with the rise of social media and the associated ease of spreading ideas that are unsupported by robust evidence, and that all too often promote views that denigrate particular groups. Every person deserves to have access to quality information. Community-wide and community-based initiatives play an important role to share such information, particularly to ensure that people are able to develop fact-based views. And of course, the New Zealand Holocaust Centre is an excellent example of this, and I congratulate them on their ongoing efforts in this regard. When I reflected on today's theme, resistance, it stirred up a great deal of emotion. Thinking back to those that took part in the resistance movement, to their heart, to their bravery, no matter what their role, I have such admiration. And as Minister Robertson referenced earlier, the testimonies of Eva and Boyd earlier today, and indeed the last testimony that we just heard, are fantastic examples of extraordinary and inspirational action. Then there is the frustration of knowing that the word resistance has become the battle cry for those currently spreading disinformation. The Holocaust is being misused as an emotive tool to further the spreading of disinformation. Holocaust distortion is rife. This is incredibly heartbreaking to witness, and it is why today, more than ever, we need to continue to educate people about the Holocaust. Last year, UNESCO reconfirmed its commitment to advancing international Holocaust education during Director General Audrey Auzole's first official visit to the US Holocaust Memorial Museum. And during her visit, she said, "There is no better long-term remedy for anti-Semitism than learning to think critically, learning to respect the dignity and freedom of others." At the National Commission, our approach is to work in partnership with communities to support freedom of responsible expression. And we want to bring together civil society and communities to discuss ways to celebrate diversity through an increased understanding of human rights and by supporting the building of a more inclusive society. This is why we've made freedom of responsible expression one of our 5 priority areas. It is why we allocate funding and support to days like today to help educate New Zealanders about lessons to learn from the past and the work of organisations such as the Holocaust Centre. I just want to stop there and pay tribute to Inga Wolf, who contributed so much to our work at the National Commission through her work at the Holocaust Centre and was a really inspirational teacher. One of the many ways that we bring together civil society and communities is through our UNESCO Aotearoa Youth Leaders Program. We have a team of 10 youth leaders who serve as advisors, negotiating inclusive ways for young people to be engaged and empowered in the National Commission's priority and program areas. As UNESCO ambassadors and change agents, the youth leaders work to build UNESCO's profile, identify where they can drive, support, and collaborate with organisations, networks, and initiatives that align with UNESCO's mandate. Our outgoing Special Advisor Youth, Shaheen Najak's here today, and I think some of you heard her present the UNESCO Director General's message out in Makara, and others represent the group in Auckland and Hamilton today. Our youth leaders come from diverse backgrounds. Many of them joined our team because they want to defend human rights and contribute to a democratic and healthy society. And when we look at resistance in history, youth were at the forefront. I just also want to acknowledge the winners of the Paul Simon Prize. It's a fantastic presentations, and I think our future's quite secure with young people like yourselves. Much like those that went before them, today's youth play a crucial role in promoting human rights, stemming the flow of disinformation, and ensuring that robust information reaches their fellow youth in all communities around Aotearoa. And today, as her namesake Sophie mentioned and told her story rather beautifully, we're celebrating the legacy of resistance groups such as the White Rose, a non-violent intellectual resistance group in Nazi Germany led by students, including Sophie Scholl. Sophie personified the importance of acting according to one's beliefs and of following your conscience, even in the face of great sacrifice. Her story reminds us not to be silent and fight for what Sophie wrote on the back of her indictment a day before she was killed, freedom. Her story, and those of the others today, is one that needs to be told today and into the future. We'll be sharing her story today on social media, but of course it's important to continue to share similar stories on an ongoing basis throughout the year. Enabling people to understand the stories of those who have lost their lives for their cause and to understand the true cause goes some way towards fighting disinformation. I think it's only fitting to finish with a quote of Sophie's that resonates strongly today. Just because so many things are in conflict does not mean that we ourselves should be divided. Kia ora, thank you.